There's an exercise that's called treat retreat. You may have a dog that doesn't like people coming into the house. You may bark at them, kind of run at them a little bit. And this exercise can help the dog feel more comfortable about it. As always, what we try to do is change the dog's emotional state. We don't punish them, for doing that behavior. We want them to learn, I don't need to do that behavior. All is well with the world. I don't need to be upset about it. And in treat retreat, we kind of only use this in the house and only for humans. And it's also one of the very few exercises where the target of the dog's behavior is the one that does the treat throwing. So often what people will do is, my dog doesn't like people, so they'll give, I will call the target, the person that the dog is not comfortable with, a bunch of food, whatever it is, and then go get the dog to come to you and feed him. Well, depending on how the dog feels about you and what kind of food you have, you may actually get the dog to come over to be fed. You've got chicken, and so the dog will not really overcome its fear, but it will come up anyway, because I really want the chicken even if I don't want to get close to you. So it doesn't really help the dog change its emotional state at all. And you'll often get what I call the giraffe, which is where the dog will approach slowly, and at a certain point they'll kind of turn into a giraffe. They'll plant their back legs, stretch out their body as far as they can possibly stretch it, and then stretch out their neck as far as they can possibly stretch it, so that they're as far away from the target as they can possibly be while still being able to take the treat. And they'll probably take the treat pretty hard too, because usually if dogs are aroused, they will take treats harder than they normally do. So he's not really learning anything from that, not learning to just accept the people that are there. In treat retreat, what you do is the target actually tosses treats, but here we are giving the dog a choice. So of course Quincy is my dog in my home coming up to me, so he doesn't really care, he just wants the food. But in treat retreat, what we do is we start with the dog target sitting quietly in the chair with a bunch of treats, and the dog further away. And we kind of let the dog move around a bit and see, where his comfort zone is. And then when he might just sort of approach the person but stops of his own volition, the person takes the treat but throws it behind the dog. So the dog has to turn around and move away from the person. So this is where Quincy stopped, so I'll toss the treat. That's where Quincy stopped, so I'll toss the treat, which he didn't find. Uh-oh, go find it. And so what happens is the dog is learning, I can come so close, I'm not really comfortable about this, and stop, and the treat goes behind me. So I turn around and move away from the target. Increasing distance is always important, because you do want the dog to learn that I can move away. Increasing the distance makes the fear less fearful because I'm not as close to it. But sometimes dogs get stuck and go like, I can't move away, I don't know what to do. And so we're teaching them that, yeah, you can, and you're encouraged to do it. And so, you just keep letting the dog choose at what distance he wants to approach. Even if he comes all the way up to you, Quincy's just waiting for me to throw things now. Say he comes really close, still do not give him the treat at this point in time. He's close enough he can take it. I'm just going to throw it behind him so he can move away again. And you can also, if you find the dog is getting a bit distressed, you really need to be able to read your dog's body language. What you can do is, rather than tossing the treat so that it goes that way, you can toss the treat So the dog goes from side to side at the distance that he feels comfortable. This allows the dog time and distance to calm down a little bit and to start the exercise again with you. All this time, the target is sitting still except for tossing the treat. Then, of course, you have to incorporate the 3Ds, where the dog learns that the person can get up, they can move around, and go to the bathroom if they want to, and it's all okay. And so it's a step-by-step process once you're at that stage. Now, is your dog suitable for this training? Well, that depends. As in all training, everything always depends. And that means, is your dog one that sees a person and immediately attacks and bites? Well, then no. Or is he just unsure, but he could be a bite risk? Teach your dog separately so that he enjoys wearing a muzzle. And so that can be one level of safety. The other level of safety is you, the owner, has the dog on a longer leash, say 10 feet. Again, depends on your setup, how much space do you have. But you want to be able to stop the dog if he does decide he's going to charge in. But do not speak harshly to the dog. Do not say anything to the dog. Do not jerk him back on the leash. Just prevent him, from getting too close, if he is in kind of that I'm going to go after the target mode. And remove him immediately, very quietly, very calmly, praising him for coming to you and praising him for going to his safe area, whatever the safe area might be, another room, behind a baby gate, in a crate. And you want to make sure that you can prevent him from reacting poorly, but you don't really want to interfere in this exercise. So what safety levels do you need to have in place? And how long do you do this exercise for? It depends on the dog. Again, it depends. Maybe 10 seconds is long enough for one dog. Maybe the next dog can work for 10 minutes before he starts to get stressed. And you look for those little tiny stressor signs, that indicate he's just starting to feel uncomfortable. If you wait until the dog is charging, lunging, barking, biting, well, it's way too late. He has practiced, his keep away from me, I need to defend myself behavior, which is what we were trying to get him to unlearn and to learn the more relaxed protocol. When you are doing the 3Ds, as always, remember to make your steps as small as possible so that the dog can be successful. So if your first step after the dog is willing to approach the person and finally maybe take food from them, is can the person get up out of the chair? And the very first step might just be having the person lean forward ever so slightly as you would, if you're getting out, and the dog at a distance again. And you would go right back to tossing the food behind the dog, having him turn around and move away, and then he can turn back and choose how close he wants to get to the person.